Hello and welcome back to the Kratom Sobriety Podcast. This is episode 153. I am here with Lily, our new co-host, and Lily and I figured out that we live nary 45 minutes away from one another. Oh, how crazy the world is. Anyway, how are you doing today, Lily?
I'm doing good. Yes. Hello, neighbor. This is pretty funny.
It is. So we both live in beautiful wine country in Northern California. Anyway, just a quick reminder to all of the listeners out there, we are working on getting through all of the interview requests that we've received, and we're getting back to you as soon as we can. Just sit tight and we will get to you, and we can't wait to hear your story. We're just getting through them while we can. Anyway, Lily and I wanted to talk today just a little bit about our experiences with recovering our sleep right after our addictions to kratom kava tonics or kratom. So I know personally I had some pretty serious issues with my sleep after I quit, whereas Lily did not. So Lily, if you want to talk about how you did not have any issues.
I did not have any issues.
No.
No, I
Yes.
think I had some sleep disturbances. I think that my overall use was a little bit lower perhaps than the average person. I had one tonic a day, which in the big scheme of things is small, but it still affected me greatly during the day. But I was mostly throughout the day. I didn't have to drink any of it to go to sleep when I was using. And so when I started tapering off and then finally stopped using it entirely, I was more groggy throughout the day. And I had a lot of trouble with just alertness during the day and feeling energetic enough. I felt like all day long was the struggle to kind of stay awake. And then during the night, I felt very physically exhausted because of all the work my body was trying to do to repair itself from this damaging thing I kept feeding it. Yeah. And so at night, I took a few supplements to kind of overall calm the body and just slow everything down so that it was a little easier for my muscles to physically rest and then everything else to follow. I really like magnesium supplements. I take one now that's like magnesium with L-theanine, I think GABA too, just kind of that trio of things. Magnesium. There's different kinds of magnesium, so make sure it's the kind that's for sleep and not going to the bathroom. Although I guess
Yes.
that would
Well, you
also be
can't.
helpful if you're on kratom.
You can't see the video side of this, but I'm giving lots of thumbs ups right now to all of this. Definitely
yep.
make sure you take the correct one. I personally have some embarrassing stories. I read the forums too quickly. And my bathroom paid the price, which is something that none of you needed to hear. But
It's
moving
okay.
on.
It's part of recovery, honestly.
Yes, it is.
We need to talk about that more often so people don't feel like the weirdos because
I agree.
That's part of it too.
It's not pretty.
What about
anyway,
you?
So that's sort of
Nolan,
good.
what was your sleep struggle? Tell us your woes.
Yes, the woes, of which there were quite a few, improved over time. So I don't want to scare anyone here. I know this is floating around recovery forums, recovery communities, but I definitely experienced some sleep disruptions. I think it was the first 48 hours after I quit. I used quite a lot of powdered kratom. I didn't sleep for about, I want to say 48 hours, which could have been better.
Wow.
And so I remember I got a free 72-hour gym membership to one with a sauna in Harlem in New York. And I used it for those 48 hours just to try to get myself calmed down, get my body to relax. I used the incorrect kind of magnesium. And
Kept
then
you up at night instead?
In a different way. And then I switched to the correct form because I know there's magnesium citrate and magnesium. What is the other one? Let's find it. And then we can just chop and edit this.
I'm going to look it up. We need to have this out there.
Yes, we do. Correct form.
Yes. Magnesium
Yes.
glycinate.
Yes. Glycinate. So the correct form of magnesium is magnesium glycinate, which I strongly recommend everyone pick up. But in general, I experienced quite a few sleep disruptions and it improved after about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. My sleep schedule was fully back to normal. So just a reminder to everyone, the difference between, your body and someone else's body when you're getting off of Kratom is that you may or may not experience these sleep disruptions. So you just have to kind of be prepared for whatever comes your way.
So, Nolan, talk about the sauna because I also had positive experiences with the sauna, and maybe we can compare
Yes.
notes on that.
That's awesome. I love it when people have positive sauna experiences. So I would spend about I'd wake up at 4 in the morning. I was already awake. And I would go
Mhm.
straight to the sauna and spend about 30 minutes in there. But Lily, I don't know how you felt, but it was definitely a full body relaxation to get rid of some of the jitters and to help me develop some inner peace on top of the physical side of it, which was just
Yes.
providing my body some relief. So, what about you?
Definitely. So I know that during the first 2 weeks, specifically of withdrawal, it was really important for me to sweat somehow. And when you're withdrawing and everything sucks, you're tired and you don't want to move, right? So, a sauna, if you can get some access to a sauna, it's the perfect method because you get to lie there and sweat. And that's the dream.
That
So,
is the
the
dream.
heat definitely helps, the sweat definitely helps. Anything that helps, with the lymphatic system and just moving things through. If you can't go for a run or that's not happening, the sauna really helps you do that from a more relaxed state. It does get your heart rate up. So you do have to be mindful of things. If you're in a really sensitive place and your body feels fragile, you should always talk to your doctor about everything, but you might
Yes.
want to, just take a minute to see how you're doing before you jump into this new thing. But when you do feel stable and everything, it can really help with relaxing. I actually have a sauna blanket at home. Have you heard of that?
No. Why would you ever? Why would you want to be warmer in the sauna? I feel like
So the no, no, no. So the sauna blanket is the sauna, and I have one at home, and it looks like a big old yoga mat and like a yoga mat slash sleeping bag. And the heating element is inside, and you climb in like a little cocoon. And yeah, uh-huh. And then you lie there
wow,
and it
my
gets
mouth
really
is
hot
open
and you
right now.
sweat. And it really helped me with recovery. And I did that every day for a while. Sauna
Wow, that's
blanket.
fantastic.
It's a
I'm gonna
thing.
even now. I'm well past my withdrawals, but Lily, you have sparked something in me, and it could come out as a debit charge on my card.
Yep,
So
it's about it can be I think mine was $700. It's really expensive, it's definitely an investment, but you plug it into the
yes,
wall, and then you have a sauna at your house, and it's really nice in the winter when it's cold, and you just get right in there snug as a bug, and you sweat, and it's amazing. I love it.
making a note to look this up after the interview the interview intro is over. But on
Yes.
that note, looks like it's probably about time to wrap up here. Lily, thank you so much for joining me. It's so fantastic to have another great soul on board helping the cause. But
Thanks.
anything else you want to leave off with?
Just that this is all volunteer run, and so part of tying back to we're getting to you on the list is all of us are volunteers, we're all volunteering our time, none of us are getting paid, we don't run ads. Take full advantage of this free content without ads. It's kind of rare that a podcast is like this. So, yeah, take advantage of it, listen to it. We will get to you. We want to hear all of your stories and we want to help people get better, and we were in your shoes too. And that's the point, is we want to help inspire people on their journey wherever they are, whether they're on day 1 or they're considering day 1 or if they're a couple years off or anywhere in between. So that's what I have to say. We
And
care
that's
about all
great.
of you.
So heartfelt and the perfect way to end it. So enjoy this interview and talk to you later, Lily.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Welcome. This is Jacob. Today, I've got the pleasure of talking to a couple that has a shared history of Kratom. So I'm here speaking with Matt and Jen.
Thanks for having us on, Jacob.
Yes, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, you're welcome. So why don't each of you just quickly tell me a little bit about yourself, like where you live, professions, age, anything you want to share like that?
I was originally in printing and graphic design, but I had a pretty major surgery in 2013. I almost lost my left leg. And so I was in a hospital for a month, a nursing home for a month, and I was writing on a form, and Jen had been reading my writing, and we met
That's how we met.
that way. And
Wow.
so it was a book deal, and she was working on it, and I moved to Florida, and that's how
Yeah,
the book deal fell through.
I liked his writing, and so that's how we ended up meeting.
And I was on like 3 fentanyl patches and 300 mics of fentanyl every 2 days. I could remove the patches, and they had me on a bunch of Dilaudid. And then when I inevitably run out, so we lean on Kratom. It was a mess. Like,
Yes, I had my own addiction after surgery story, like so many of us these days. And so, yeah, Kratom helped me get off that.
Okay. So you both obviously met when Matt had his surgery and then had a shared addiction of opiates, and then you were using Kratom as a fill-in at first in between scripts or picking up from your dealers or whatever. Did you eventually switch to only Kratom? I know, Jen, you said you used it to get off.
I think it was 2021. We had gotten off like whatever was on the street at that time, and we were using purely Kratom. I got up to 60 grams a day, and I got to the point where as soon as it hit the back of my tongue, I would retch and vomit. Like I couldn't take it anymore. And even now, if I think about it hard enough, it'll make me vomit. So I found the extracts. I started leaning heavily on the extracts, and I found the withdrawal from those they're like
Yeah, it was rough.
particularly horrific. I don't know. There's like this compulsion to redose with Kratom that I don't find with other opiates. It's just again the anxiety and the restless body syndrome is just horrid. I just find it particularly bad with the extracts.
Yeah, I had a similar experience with extracts. I found the withdrawal a little bit worse than Oxycontin withdrawal, particularly the mental part. It was just its own kind of beast, I would say. So 2021, you get exclusively on it. You have trouble keeping the powder down. You switched to extracts. When did you ultimately get off Kratom? What is your guys' abstinence dates? Are they the same, or do you have different stories there? How does that work?
2023, we were on the cycle of we had a flaky dealer, and we just got tired of the cycle. It was so bad. The withdrawal at that point it was brutal. It was just debilitating. You were just immobilized.
Yeah.
And so we decided to do Suboxone. And luckily, we were like 4 days without using anything. We just were using Kratom. And luckily, we jumped on the Suboxone. We had about a half-hour precipitated withdrawal. And it was fine.
It was really lucky.
And so that's another thing I find in the Kratom community is the Suboxone sort of has this dubious reputation. And for my case, I tried white knuckle sobriety, and I have a terrible tendency to relapse. And I found that with Suboxone, in 2.5 years, I had a period this February where I was at a job in Seattle, and they extended it. I ran out of Suboxone, so I got some 708, and I leaned on that for about a week. And I found like even the week on that, when I got home and I got my Suboxone back, I still had withdrawals somehow. I found that it broke through the Suboxone. It was just scary.
Yeah, I've read a lot about that. I actually talked to a doctor a couple episodes ago. I think it's episode 148. If you're listening to this and you haven't, Dr. Casey Grover, who's an expert on kratom addiction in California, and I asked him a question about that too. And there's a lot of different things going on with 7-OH. It hits multiple receptors. It hits different opiate receptors in your brain than just traditional opiates that are just hitting mostly I think it's the mu receptor versus the delta. I'm not a scientist, so this will get way into weeds I'm probably not qualified to talk about. But yeah, there's a lot of that. So you both quit in 2023, so it's And you said January, I think. So that's been about 2.5 years ago.
Suboxone has been very successful. I've called that a miracle drug. I think they should be giving it away myself, but I don't know if our situation was common or different, but I just found it to be like it was a miracle. It was like I could live my life again and be normal. Maybe I have to lean on that, but it was so much better than what was out there. It's a miracle drug to me. So I don't know if that's weird.
Kratom community is just a lot of people, they do the quick taper. And I did try that. I'm just the relapse king. I don't seem to have a ability to moderate like with any substance, whether it's alcohol, coffee.
Yeah.
I'll just take it to an extreme.
We both have addictive personalities, I think. And yeah,
I do too. I personally think that it's an odd position that the kratom community takes, because in the general recovery community, there's some of that. There's certainly some of the anti-medicated assisted treatment, anti-Suboxone stuff, but not in just the sheer opiate community, not nearly as much as in the kratom space. It's very controversial for some reason. I've gotten flack for this when I posted it on social media a couple times. It's just medicine, right? There's a medication that people take for depression, anxiety. None of those are like, okay, you have to just taper off it quickly because you don't want to take it. They're prescribed to deal with a problem. And if, like you said, you tried other ways, you relapsed a bunch of times, like if something works and keeps you off of, particularly for you all with opiates, and now with street opiates being as whatever the hell's out there now, it can be even deadly.
Mitigates your tendency to relapse. I think it's
right.
For me, I'm just prone to relapse.
Right.
And it's brought me to the point, so I've been on it 2.5 years. So I'm now at the point where I want to get on the Sublocade and just be off it because I don't have a craving for
At
substance
all.
anymore. She does.
I do, but I can stay away from it.
I feel like I don't want to be on the Suboxone anymore, so I'm looking to taper off of it.
And if it fixed him, wow. You know what I mean? It really is a great drug. I think it would help a lot of people.
Yeah. It definitely help a lot of people. And now that they got rid of the X waiver and pretty much any doctor can prescribe it, and you can do telehealth, there's a lot more options now than a couple of years ago.
We're going to see a wave of these new addicts with the 7-OH.
It's crazy.
And what's troublesome is, from my experience, there seems to be a period where you're going to have to tough it out and wait for the Suboxone to kick in. It doesn't seem to help right away if you have an acute addiction. But I'm not sure. I didn't experience it. But it's what I've read. It seems to be a common experience.
It definitely does seem to be a common experience. Okay, so in 2023, in January, you guys got clean. Congratulations on 2.5 years off of Kratom. How was like the first 30 days with the Suboxone? You mentioned that, you had a little bit of precipitated withdrawal for maybe like 30 minutes and then you were good. Did you experience anything else during those first 30 days or anything like that?
We both held down jobs. We were productive, but it was still chaotic. We were just...
Yeah, it makes your life more chaotic.
Living in Florida, you go through natural disasters.
Right.
It's just your life it adds an extra layer of...
Yeah.
Was that what ultimately drove you to decide to get off Kratom and opiates in general? Was it just a chaotic lifestyle, a combination of things? Like some people have a rock bottom moment. I'm just curious for you both, what was the catalyst that said, I really have to do something. I can't keep doing what I'm doing with Kratom and opiates?
Expense and the withdrawal. The withdrawal got to the point, like
yeah.
you said, if I ran out, I wouldn't be able to go to work. It was just, there's something about this new dope that you just can't do anything. And the Kratom doesn't help much. You can dump extracts, but they'll help you for 1 or 2 hours, and then you're in the corner at work watching the clock.
That's why they use withdrawal as torture. As a torture. It's terrible.
Yeah, everyone should go to withdrawal. A little more compassion in the world.
Probably. Yeah, there probably would be. All right. Outside of the medicated assisted treatment, do you guys do any other like recovery work, meetings or therapy or anything like that to try to get at the root of what might have led you down the path of addiction?
Actually, we've been concentrating on just living better. We've changed our diets. and our health, our lifestyle.
Yeah,
Just
it's
make
going to change some.
lifestyle changes.
Yeah, we're getting healthy and eating right and
It's
exercising.
about 40 pounds. And
I've lost 75 pounds. Enjoying it. Yeah, living more naturally. And yeah,
I tried the meeting, and I'm not an AA type. I know they'll say I'm terminally unique or whatever, but it doesn't work for me. I'm sorry. I've tried it for years. I just, I've had some of my worst times of use while in the program. I think if you just have to get, I think it's to a point in life where you're just exhausted and you come to a resolution where you're like, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, that's definitely how I felt in different cycles of addiction, whether it was alcohol or kratom or opiates or whatever the hell it happened to be at the time. Because similar to you both, I tend to have addictive tendencies myself. I haven't really had any relapses since you got on Suboxone. How would you describe like most people that get off of a substance, whether they do the Suboxone route or quit on their own or taper or whatever it may be? It's usually not like a linear progression. There's usually some ups and downs. What is were there any periods in the last 2.5 years where you've had maybe a pink cloud where you're like, everything's great, and then you've had like maybe periods of downtime? Anything like that with your moods or anything?
The last year,
life has been chaos,
we
but it's been outside influence, like hurricanes and all this craziness has been thrown on it.
lost our car, we lost our house.
Yeah, we've lost pretty much everything, but we haven't relapsed through it all. So that's been great.
They're at the mercy of FEMA or like in a temporary shelter. I'm an artist and I have no studio space to work. And I finally got some, and
Things are looking up now.
things are looking up now, but we've just been trying to rebuild.
Yeah,
Really
it's
been
been
keeping us
rebuilding.
busy. Like I said, I've come to a resolve where I just don't crave it. And I guess she just leans on me sometimes. I don't know. I just don't crave it anymore. I think what appealed to me about the drug, it alleviates that uncertainty. For me, I wake up with this uncertainty, but with any substance, there's certainty in it. You know how you're gonna feel, and
Yeah.
so lean on that. I like consistency, like the warm fuzziness. I don't know. It turns on you
Yeah,
at some point, and it just becomes negative, and that's
yeah,
negative.
that definitely is a common experience, the turning on you, the just getting to the point where you're just so tired of the cycle and all the challenges. Matt, maybe a specific question for you around being an artist and like creativity and such. Do you find now that you're not on kratom or opiates that you're more creative, that you're more productive with your art? What's that been like for you?
Right about the time we stopped, I had burned out. I had been getting so many commissions. I'd been painting other people's ideas that I had just lost like any passion for it. So I took a step back because I just felt I wasn't in the mood to create. And so recently, like in the last half year, we're ramping it back up and it's looking good. We were in the top 10th percentile of Etsy in sales, and it's all original artwork. It's not prints. It's all like handmade stuff. And yeah, there's definitely a period of adjustment when going sober. It's losing a tool. You have to retrain your mind to, I don't know. Sometimes artists fall into this trap of relying on substance for output. I just had to get to a point where I had a passion for it again. That's simply it. Just the ability to pick up the paintbrush, the first step.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. If let's say you just met me and I was struggling with opiates or kratom and I happened to just meet you out and about and we started talking about it and I was like looking for a way to get clean, what would be like your top tip to someone that's struggling out there that needs to get started on recovery?
It's always like wanted. I'm doing it for my wife. I'm doing it for X reason. It has to be, I'm just tired and I want it. Do you really want it? And so the next step, if you really want it, the next step would be to find the appropriate help. How sick are you? Like, how bad is your addiction? Do you need inpatient? Can it be resolved by maybe talking to someone's sponsor? just any avenue that feels right. You have to try them all. You have to try whatever works. Yes, whatever works for your sobriety, you got to hold
Yeah.
on to it.
That's true.
Whatever. As long as it's not hurting anyone else, I say go for it.
That makes sense. Now that you're both kratom and opiate free, how would you describe your life now versus 3, 4 years ago?
I'm seeing things, so much improvement and much more to come.
Mine's the ability to set goals. When you're tied down to that crap, you
Yeah.
can't do anything because you're on a timer. You're on dope time. Always looking at that clock and always looking at your stash. And that's so burdensome. And me, I'm like the type of person where I have a cart attached to me and all my appetites are in that cart and that cart pulls me. And it's how well I control my appetites is how much I get dragged by that cart. I just try to keep that cart in line.
What do you guys like to do for fun outside of the art and other stuff?
We do a lot of, we like to do art. She likes to take photographs. She actually,
Do you like I do the business side of our business, so I play with that in my spare time for fun.
in the past, this area, she started.
No, don't bring that up.
Why? Even she used to race cars. She didn't want to talk about it. So
No.
sorry.
No, that's okay. Do you guys have any pets? Anything like that?
We just had a 20-year-old one that died, and it's very difficult.
Very.
And if you want to use, that's the time when
Yeah, it's another just things like getting to
that,
things like
that creature has survived 2 marriages, and it was the longest living thing with me. It was just very difficult. I was blindsided by the grief, actually. I knew it was coming, but my God.
Yeah, it's hard when pets pass. They're not with us as long as we would definitely like, however long it is usually. Is there anything you want to talk about to the community or any topics you want to maybe dive into?
Hey, I know a lot of people out there are playing around with 7-OH, and just that stuff is really bad. I know a lot of people who listen to podcasts like this just because it's titillating, just because it's subject relative, but and don't use that stuff. That's my big piece of wisdom. And get to a point in your life when you're sick, where you're sick of it.
Maybe one final question before we go, maybe something fun. A light one, maybe to round us out here. What kind of bands or music are you guys into?
Flaming Deadhead. Black Falls been from like 83 to 90. I'm a boomer. I'm just like 57. I'm really Generation X, but you guys call me boomer. But so I felt the break 83 to 90. I had my first kid, and I would catch shows when I could.
Cool. Thank you both again. Anything else you'd like to say or any questions you want to ask me?
I appreciate what you do.
Thank you for that. We're here for everybody, and I'm glad you're out there listening. Have a wonderful evening.